what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing a what's next on George Kambosos Jr., the former unified lightweight champion of the world, following a close and somewhat controversial split decision victory over Maxi Hughes, our majority decision, as he returned from his back-to-back losses to Devin Haney and walked away with it, like I said, with a controversial decision over Maxi Hughes. Now, before we get into that, if you guys could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I try to build my channel up here. Now, and if there's anything you don't like, thumbs down, leave a comment. So, back to Kambosos. In a way, in a sense, I don't know why a lot of people are surprised. I think Kambosos I think he's a one-hit wonder type guy. I don't think he's a flat-out scrub, but I think he got lucky against Teofimo Lopez. I think that's legit. Just right moment, right time kind of was over, Lopez was overlooking him. I think maybe the weight was a factor for him. And, Kambosos walked away with a very close split decision victory. But I don't know why a lot of people are surprised. If you look at Kambosos' resume, I mean, he had a bunch of close decisions other than the, and Lopez is one of them. But he also had the fight that made him the mandatory to Lopez against Lee Selby. Selby, that was a close-ass fight. I think it was a split decision there, too. And that was a fight where I actually thought Selby won. And I think against, God, I can't remember. I think he did fight Mickey Bay. Don't hold me to that. And that was a close one prior to Selby. And, so that's the thing. Maybe he was overlooking Maxi Hughes. Either way, I don't think that people should really be surprised about his performance, because Kambosos is not going to be your shutdown type fighter, and now he's got a name. He talks a lot of shit, so he can sell a fight. And he's a former unified champ, so he's going to get opportunities against top guys who are considering him kind of, they're going to look at him kind of as a gatekeeper now, and that's not a bad position to be in. He can make a lot of money being a gatekeeper, and he also knows what it takes to be the man, so he can keep trying and trying. But let's take a look at the top 10 and see what possibly could be next. One thing I do want to throw out there that I think is possible is Kambosos potentially moving up to 140 to fight Lopez in a rematch. I think if he moves to 140, it's for a Lopez rematch, and I do think there's a real possibility that both the top rank. And Lopez, I think, would love to eradicate that loss. The WBO has already shot down Arnold Barbosa Jr. as a mandatory challenger because Lopez was the mandatory against Josh Taylor. He was the #1 contender. So they are going to allow Lopez to make an optional defense first of that belt. And I really do believe a Kambosos rematch makes a lot of sense for Lopez. It could erase his only defeat, and especially if he dominates him, can make him look good, and it's a big opportunity for Kambosos. So I do think there's that possibility. Now, staying at lightweight, though, if Kambosos stays at lightweight, let's take a look. Devin Haney, the undisputed champion, not happening. Haney has no reason to fight him, and Haney's already moving to 140 in his next fight to face Regis Prograis for the WBC title there. Vasily Lomachenko. I think this really has some legs to it. It's an easy fight to make. They're both with top rank. We know now that Haney's not going to give Lomachenko the rematch, not yet anyways. And Lomachenko might be pissed and, say, hey, I want to fight him, bring him on. So I do think there's a real possibility that Loma and Kambosos lock horns next. It's a big fight. I think they're trying to figure out what else is going on with the rest of Devin Haney's titles as he moves to 140. Are the governing bodies going to allow him, that defense? We know the WBC's already doing it, but will the other governing bodies allow him to do that? move to 140, and then make a decision on all his belts after. I think they probably will. But, hey, Lomachenko and Kambosos might not take place till December, so there could be a vacant title on the line. Lomachenko's number 1 in the WBC right now. Say he moves to 140 and wins the belt there, and wants to and Haney wants to focus on a showdown with Teofimo Lopez next year. If that's the case, then I think he probably gives up his WBC title. The belt goes vacant, and Lomachenko and Kambosos could happen, especially if Shakur Stevenson wants to fight for one of the other belts. So I do think there's a possibility that Kambosos could be getting a showdown with Lomachenko next. Gervonta Tank Davis. I wouldn't rule it out. I think Tank really can call shots over most of the division, and he can call shots on guys crossing the street. He knows Kambosos is going to sell the fight, and Tank's goal is probably going to be to knock Kambosos out to make him look better than Haney. So I think there is the possibility that Tank could be interested in George Kambosos next. Then you got Shakur Stevenson, former 2-division champ. I do think that's possible because Stevenson is with Top Rank as well, and he's also a top contender in a couple of the divisions. Shakur's number 1, I believe, in the WBO, and he's number 2 and 3 and 4 in like a couple of the other ones. He's right there knocking on the door, and if Haney decides to give up any of his belts, Shakur might be one of the guys fighting for the vacant belt, and a big time fight with Kambosos would make a lot of sense for a vacant title. But I do believe that the Lomachenko fight's a little more likely, but I wouldn't be surprised if these two guys by the end of the year ended up fighting each other. Then there's Isaac Cruz. I don't think so here. Yes, he's a PBC guy, but he's not a PBC guy like on the Tank Davis level. Cruz, to cross the street and fight Kambosos, I just don't think that makes sense for these guys right now. I don't think it's a big enough fight for them to cross the street, so I don't see it happening. Then there's Jermaine Ortiz. Another fight that's possible if Kambosos can't get anything else. Maybe because they're both with Top Rank, but I really don't think Bob Arum is going to expose Kambosos to Ortiz. I think Ortiz is too tough of an opponent for Kambosos, and I don't see Bob Arum pulling the trigger on this one. Raymond Muratalla. This one's not a bad matchup. He is a Top Rank guy. He got a big win on the Haney Lomachenko undercard. I wouldn't be surprised if Kambosos gets a crack at Muratalla, both being with Top Rank, but I do believe Bob Arum might stay away from it unless he really just wants to build Muratalla. But I don't think Bob Arum's going to pull the trigger on Kambosos like that. I think he wants to get as much value out of him that he can, and throwing him in there again in a risky fight against Muratalla, I think it's too much of a risk, I believe. William Zepeda. I'm not seeing it. I think Zepeda's probably going to end up fighting, to become a mandatory or fighting for a vacant belt, potentially. And he's also a DAZN guy, so I don't see the two crossing the street for that. Gustavo Lemos, a lot of people talked about how that was an IBF eliminator between Kambosos and Hughes, but they were numbers 8 and 9. Like, how much did Kambosos move up? Did he move up to the 3 spot, the 2 spot, potentially? Did he make that big of a jump? He might have. And if he did, then he's number 2 and Lemos is number 1 in the IBF. And if that belt goes vacant, you could be seeing Kambosos fighting for the vacant IBF title again. But with other bigger fights out there, I don't know if Bob Arum's going to want him to take that risk, because Lemos is tough. He's a good undefeated fighter, so we'll see. And then finally, Zaur Abdullayev. You never know, but I don't know if Arum would want to risk him against Abdullayev. And it is a risky fight. So for me, for Kambosos overall, I really believe Lopez and Lomachenko are maybe dead even, or there's very good chances at both those fights. Lopez at 140, Lomachenko at 135 for either a vacant title or an eliminator, because they're both bigger fights. Then I also think Shakur Stevenson is possible, because it is a big fight, especially if a title would be on the line. And then Muratala's more of an outside shot, but I really do believe a Gustavo Lemos fight is also possible. So don't be surprised though. I really would like Lopez to fight Kambosos again at 140, and it makes a lot of sense for Kambosos too. So, but I also love the Lomachenko fight for Loma, because I'm a big fan of his as well. So that's it though. That's what I got. I'm actually going to make the prediction and say it's going to be Lopez, but I think it's about 50-50. It could be Lomachenko. And that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next video on the former unified lightweight champion of the world, George Kambosos Jr., following his controversial decision victory over Maxi Hughes in their lightweight showdown. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.